Rodrigo Duterte, a name synonymous with controversy, rose from humble beginnings to become the president of the Philippines. Born in 1945, Duterte spent his early years in the province of Davao. He later studied political science and law, eventually becoming a prosecutor in Davao City. His tough stance on crime, though often criticized for its brutality, resonated with the people. Duterte served as mayor of Davao City for over 2 decades, earning a reputation as a no-nonsense leader who prioritized peace and order. Duterte's success in Davao City propelled him to the national stage. In 2016, he ran for president on a platform of eradicating crime and corruption. His fiery rhetoric and promises of swift justice struck a chord with Filipinos who were frustrated with the country's problems. Duterte's landslide victory marked the beginning of a tumultuous era in Philippine politics. His unorthodox style and brash pronouncements quickly garnered international attention, making him one of the most recognizable and controversial leaders in the world. Duterte's rise to power was fueled by a potent mix of populism, charisma, and a deep understanding of the Filipino psyche. He presented himself as a man of the people, unafraid to challenge the status quo and fight for the ordinary Filipino. His supporters saw him as a savior, a strongman who could finally bring order to a chaotic country. However, his critics viewed him as an authoritarian figure, a threat to democracy and human rights. Duterte's presidency was marked by a sharp departure from the policies of his predecessors. He adopted a confrontational approach to foreign policy, distancing the Philippines from its traditional ally, the United States, and forging closer ties with China and Russia. His strong personality and often outrageous statements kept the world guessing about his true intentions. Central to Duterte's presidency was his relentless and highly controversial war on drugs. Upon assuming office, he unleashed a brutal crackdown on drug users and dealers, promising to eradicate the drug problem within 6 months. This campaign, however, was marred by widespread allegations of extrajudicial killings, human rights abuses, and a culture of impunity within the Philippine National Police. Thousands of suspected drug offenders were killed in police operations, often without due process. The death toll soared, drawing condemnation from human rights organizations, international bodies, and world leaders. The United Nations, in particular, expressed grave concerns over the killings and called for an independent investigation. Duterte, however, remained defiant, dismissing the criticisms as interference in the Philippines' internal affairs. He argued that the drug war was necessary to save the country from becoming a narco-state, and that the deaths were justified collateral damage. The war on drugs, while popular among some Filipinos who craved order and security, deeply divided the nation. Critics argued that the campaign targeted mostly the poor and marginalized, while powerful drug lords continued to operate with impunity. The widespread killings and lack of accountability instilled fear in communities, creating a climate of silence and intimidation. Duterte's war on drugs became a major stain on the Philippines' international reputation. It strained relations with Western countries, particularly the United States, which had long been a close ally. The killings also led to the Philippines' withdrawal from the International Criminal Court after the court launched a preliminary examination into the alleged crimes against humanity committed during the drug war. Rodrigo Duterte's presidency has been one of the most divisive in Philippine history. His supporters, often referred to as Duterte Dihard supporters, DDS, praised him as a strong leader who was not afraid to take on tough challenges. They lauded his war on drugs, arguing that it brought peace and order to the streets. They also admired his no-nonsense style and his willingness to stand up to foreign powers. His charisma and populist rhetoric resonated with many Filipinos who felt left behind by previous administrations. However, Duterte's critics saw him as an authoritarian leader who eroded democratic institutions and disregarded human rights. They pointed to the thousands of extrajudicial killings under his watch, the crackdown on dissent, and the weakening of the rule of law. They argued that his policies created a climate of fear and impunity, where critics were silenced and opposition was suppressed. The Philippines under Duterte became a battleground for competing narratives. His supporters used social media extensively to spread his message, often resorting to disinformation and online harassment to silence critics. The government also filed cases against journalists and media outlets that were critical of the administration, further shrinking the space for free expression. Despite the controversies, Duterte remained a popular figure throughout his presidency. His approval ratings remained high, a testament to his enduring appeal among Filipinos who yearned for a strong leader. In a stunning turn of events, former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested on March 11, 2025, and surrendered to the International Criminal Court. The charges stem from his alleged role in crimes against humanity committed during his brutal war on drugs, a campaign that claimed the lives of tens of thousands of Filipinos. The arrest sent shockwaves through the Philippines and the international community, marking a pivotal moment in the country's history and raising profound questions about justice, accountability, and the rule of law. Duterte's arrest has plunged the Philippines into a period of profound uncertainty. While his supporters view the ICC's actions as an affront to national sovereignty, his detractors are celebrating it as a victory for human rights and the fight against impunity. The nation is sharply divided, with protests and counter-protests erupting across the country. This polarization is further exacerbated by the upcoming midterm elections, which are now overshadowed by Duterte's arrest and the looming specter of his legacy. The implications of Duterte's arrest extend far beyond the Philippines. It sets a precedent for holding powerful leaders accountable for their actions even after leaving office. The outcome of Duterte's case will be closely watched by authoritarian regimes around the world, potentially serving as a deterrent against future atrocities or emboldening them to further crack down on dissent. The international community now faces the challenge of ensuring a fair and impartial trial while navigating the complex political landscape of the Philippines. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte marks the beginning of a new chapter in the Philippines story. It remains to be seen how the country will heal from the divisions of the Duterte era, and whether it will finally break free from the cycle of violence and impunity that has plagued it for so long. The coming months and years will be crucial in determining whether justice will prevail and whether the Philippines can chart a new course towards a more democratic and equitable future.